Welcome to this week's edition of Trust Me, I'm a Deacon. In my last video on reconciliation, I mentioned the steps that go into that sacrament. Today I wanted to go back and talk a little further on one of those steps, the act of penance. And I want to focus on it because, well, it's sometimes overlooked and misunderstood as a punishment or something that we're forced to do. But done correctly and with the right mindset, it can actually be one of the best ways for us to connect with God in a personal, meaningful way. So yeah, it's easy to view penance as something that we do after confession. It's just a way to say, sorry, God, for all the sins I just confessed. And what's our mindset of penance during Lent? We say, I got to give up something. And how powerful do you feel when you see that ad for a double cheeseburger on Fridays during Lent? But penance is way more than some sort of spiritual chore. But in order to make it an effective item in our faith life toolkit and effectively embrace and maybe even be happy doing it, we need to first understand its purpose before integrating it meaningfully into our lives, allowing us to focus on the spiritual and personal benefits that it brings. So the first step is to understand why penance is mentioned so many times in the Bible and by so many of the greatest Christian minds since then. Some of the reasons they give to us are it leads us growing closer to God, increasing in self-discipline, and purifying the soul, along with giving healing from sin and receiving God's forgiveness. And most importantly, it unites our sufferings with those of Christ, participating in a very real personal way with his redemptive work. So with that understanding, the key is approaching penance with a grateful mindset and the humility to realize, well, what we're really asking for is God's grace. By changing our view of it from something that we're forced to do or simply a self-help session to thanks God for the opportunity to receive your grace and grow spiritually from the process, we can start to view penance as almost a joyful experience. And it doesn't have to be some grand thing. Start with some small acts such as offering up inconveniences, practicing patience, or just being nice when you're having a bad day. And don't be afraid to make it meaningful and personal. Offer penance for specific personal intentions like the conversion of a loved one, a desire to be more Christ-like, or for that person in your life that just needs to see God's light. And yes, you hear this in at least one homily every Advent and Lent, but only because it works. Choose forms of penance that resonates personally and feels manageable, such as giving up a favorite treat, dedicating extra time to prayer, or volunteering for a charitable cause. And finally, penance done right shouldn't be totally easy. So focus on the positives. Recognize and celebrate those positive changes that you see in yourself. Take joy in the deepened faith and the closer relationship with God that you're seeing. It's perfectly okay to feel a sense of accomplishment when you look back on what you did and accomplished, because you can trust me on this, God's doing the same thing. Now that's all the time I have for today, but in a future episode, I want to cover the various forms of penance beyond the big three of fasting, praying, and almsgiving. So if you have any other forms that you'd like me to cover, or any other topic for that matter, please leave a comment or shoot me an email at the address below. And may God's blessings be with you all. And I'll see you all soon for the next episode of Trust Me, I'm a Deacon.